border, and any incremental moves to change the game, to cause trafficking and drug cartels to think, all right, well, what we do now won't work. What do we have to do next? Right? You've got to disrupt the status quo and these systems that exist. Nobody is going to do that. I place it squarely on the political will in Washington. They could easily do it by saying, here's the law, this is immigration law, this is how we enforce it, that's that. So if you're in the country illegally and you end up on government's radar, out you go. And if it was a zero tolerance policy, which everyone on the left will say is so cruel and inhumane and you're heartless and there are people suffering. Well, listen, there are billions of people suffering in the world. Do they all have the right to petition for asylum in the U.S.? I mean, that's a hell of a slippery slope.
I mean, I think if you should, obviously make it easier for, I think we should, to really get, reform on this is, the way to do it is, actually make sure that people who should be coming in are able to come in easier. So we don't have all these waits. I think we should make sure there's more, if you set up, this may sound far-fetched, but set up some sort of a Ellis Island type scenario in the country where you can say, okay, do you have, why are you coming in? Can we, set up, just make it easier, actually want to make it some sort of order to the process. And the idea should not be to have these people come across the desert in the middle of the summer, just incredible heat and just so much danger.
No, I agree with that.
Make some sort of order. So people who should be coming in are not be able to come in. And if you commit a crime and it's just past a certain waiting period of 5 to 10 years, if you commit a crime during that period, then you're deported. But if not, then you just pretty much what I'm saying is pathway to citizenship. You should get a pathway to citizenship. If you've been here doing what you should.
You'll find hardliners on the right. That's just called amnesty for them, right? And I agree with everything you just said. I also know that there are millions of people who wouldn't qualify for asylum and would still put pressure on weak spots in the border to get across and earn more than they can at home, have better quality of life than they can at home, and which I'm sure we can bring into this discussion the fact that in most urban centers, you get health care for free, whether you're a legal or illegal immigrant. These incentives do not help.
Yeah, I think those people who should be able to come in for a better life, I think they should be able to be part of that system where they can come in if they're not, this is what I say, if they're not committing crimes, they should be able to come in and actually, if they come in with a family or something like that we can actually verify as theirs. As I know that's a thing, but it's not a very, it's not a very big thing, but it is a thing. But if we get that kind of vetting process there, I think that'd be something that we could do. If we could get people to say, as I said before, the Ellis Island procedure kind of come in, you get the idea of where the people are coming from, and then
people
find a way to get them settled.
People romanticize Ellis Island. The reason Ellis Island was useful and it worked was that, first of all, we had a need in this country. We were an industrializing nation. It was booming. We needed people to take on jobs, to be in construction, to be to provide services. We don't live like that anymore. We have plenty of people who are on the lowest rungs of the economic ladder. And those are the people under the greatest pressure when low-skilled, low-education workers come into this country. It drives wages down, decreases the quality of life for American citizens. That's a legitimate, real truth. And people on the left dismiss that all the time. I think it fuels the Donald Trump machine, where he's like, they don't care about you. They don't care about you. You're disenfranchised You're slipping. The American dream is sifting through your fingers, and those people on the left, they don't care. That's why I say, a lot of it turns into political hay.
Yeah.
But on the left and the right, they all should just sit down, do their jobs, do it in a way that makes sense. But they're never going to do it because this is not about making sense. This is about politics.
Yeah, I think definitely I think there's for both sides. And I think really, to a large degree, the right wing, I want to make this absolutely clear, the right wing is the wing, the party that's like standing in the way of actually getting this passed. Like, because I find it very, very hard to believe that if Mitch McConnell, if Trump had been a thing of the past and the hardline right wing was ineffectual, like, you would have had $2 billion in border security increase, and the government would still be open. Like, that's the way it would be. Like, that's easily the way it would be. Because Chuck Schumer, Nancy, and Mitch McConnell, they don't really want to change anything. They don't want to make it, like, do massive immigration reform, like the people on the left do immigration justice, as some people called it, or they don't want to build a wall. And I mean, the reason why I don't think you should build a wall is because, like, I don't think we're facing an immigration crisis on the border. Like, you can't call something a crisis that's getting better. Like, the problem of illegal immigration is getting less and less a big deal, but a lot of the animosity has increased, and that's why many people think, oh, it's a crisis, it's a crisis, it's a crisis.
Well, I mean, the crisis now is that it used to be single men coming in, and now you've got these people coming in with children who, according to Border Patrol agents, half the time aren't even their own. Children have become a pawn and a tool for entry into the country. I have a relative that's a drug enforcement agent, and I've talked to him about whether you build a wall or not. And he said, listen, you got to build something to keep people from walking over the border because they carry drugs. He says, we arrest the same people for smuggling people in as smuggling in cocaine and heroin and weed. So the problem clearly exists on the ground. He works in California. The problem clearly exists that the same illicit groups are bringing people and drugs into the country. That's a fact. Now, how do you want to cope with it? Do you want to build a wall? No. Then what do you want to do? Just, listen, we're going to spend $5 billion on something, right? In fact, we should be spending more. And the truth is, and I think I'm pretty clear-eyed about this, even though I lean in a conservative way. Had Barack Obama asked for $5 billion for a wall, he'd have gotten it in 10 seconds. So it is not just about what's effective. It's about the person who's asking.
I don't think he ever would have, though.
Because
he's a Democrat.
Because his base would have screamed bloody murder, even if it was the right thing to do. So.
Yeah, I just don't think it is. Yeah, that's like I think we just need to go in a different direction. I think we need to establish some kind of order, not chaos. Like it sounds kind of like Earth, it just sounds like elemental, but just like there's a lot of unnecessary, just like crazy amounts of chaos happening. Yeah.
How about we just stick with we should just stick with the rule of law, okay? I think sanctuary cities are a problem. It's an unnecessary attractor. And the truth is, if you're living in a state that isn't a border state, a sanctuary state makes you a border state. And I think the people in those states who are seeing overflow from sanctuary states into their states have a right to say, listen, I've had enough of this. I don't need this. We have enough. Clearly in America, we have enough problems. We don't need to import them.
Well, I mean, I don't think people who good people want to come to the country, like their ability to just report crimes that happen. I don't think that's a problem. I mean, unless there's a massive crime increase in these communities, which by and large there's not. I mean, immigrants like just commit crime at a less rate, I don't see how it would be a problem.
I have yet to see a statistic that separates illegal immigrants from legal immigrants on that number. Okay, I'm inclined to believe that if you come into the country illegally, right, that you are among peers who are far more likely to commit crimes, specifically because you are vulnerable to those people.
I just, all right, we're going to have to disagree on that because I don't think there's really any evidence of that. But, all right, so yeah, but just before we move on, just quickly, should there be a national emergency declared, yes or no?
Oh, God, that's a slippery slope. Like I said, I'd love to see everyone do their jobs and just get back to business. But, I think everyone's painted into corners. Walls are immoral, so why not shut down the government and then declare an emergency? It seems like a natural, logical progression.
Yeah, I mean,
although I think it's a bad idea, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think we can both agree on that. It's definitely going to happen. Maybe back next Sunday discussing the same thing. All right.
That's entirely possible.
Yeah, we have like a 30-day shutdown now. Yeah, so now we're going to move on to the 2020 presidential election, already starting, of course. Julian, and we're here in 2019, Julian Castro, former Secretary of HUD under President Barack Obama, has been in the Democrats' national spotlight since delivering a keynote speech at the DNC in 2012. And he is he's very like kind of milquetoast kind of guy. Not really too much you need to know. He's not very inspiring. It's kind of like literally he said some weird tweet. I saw a lot of people tweeting out, it's like our brains are like our currency or something like that. It doesn't. I'll look up the tweet here in a second, but he is running officially now for president, and people are apparently excited about that. What's your thought about that heading out there?
Well, he's got as good a chance as anybody, right? You've got Democrats coming from every imaginable corner of Democrat politics, so why not? He ticks a bunch of boxes. I mean, he's a son of immigrants, right? Speaks Spanish, comes from a huge state. He might as well throw his hat in the ring. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's possible he could see some sort of success here. But I just don't. I think he's going to need to. I just think he's very much kind of a 19. I feel like he's like a thing of the past. I feel like he's a pre-Trump era type politician who's not. He's just like too like robotic, polished, and like that kind of guy.
Maybe that's what people need again. I don't know. I can certainly say that other. When you look at what some of his competitors are doing for attention. He's sort of genuine.
I don't know. I mean, I guess you're talking about like Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, let's have a beer and then and
oh yeah, her Instagram live thing. Everyone's setting up his Instagram lives. That's that's funny. That is funny.
I think if you want to connect with young people, you can't force it.
I think it helps to be a young person and connect with young people.
Right. I mean, Elizabeth Warren isn't young, but listen, who knows? She's very smart. She's done quite a. I read quite a bit about her ability to raise money. She's phenomenally good at it. So she's got a bigger war chest than most. We'll have to see how that plays out for her. I mean, it's still, money is not, in the age of social media, money is not going to trump image,
Yeah, and I do think
Trump either.
I think policy is something that like really cannot go, and I think won't by a large portion of the Democratic base